everyone. My name is Lora Tchekoratova, and today I'm coming to you from New York and speaking with the young cellist Zlatomir Fung, who is in Boston. He's the special guest of Bulgarian concert evenings in New York. Just a few days ago, he came down to New York where we recorded the Archduke Trio, which we are going to premiere for you on December 15th at 7 o'clock. So we would like everyone to tune in to Bulgarian Concert Evenings Facebook page or our YouTube page. As many of you know, Zlatomir is one of the really rising stars in classical music today, and we are delighted to have him on our series. He's an American cellist, but he's also half Bulgarian. And his mom is a math teacher. His dad is also a scientist. He's a Chinese American, really a wonderful family. He has musical siblings. So I would like to start there. I would like to start with your family, with your background. Zlati, your parents are not musicians, so how did you get into the cello? Who was the inspiration for that?
Yes, so as you said, my mother's from Sofia, and she came to the United States when she was around 20 years old, and she met my father. They were both studying mathematics, and what I was actually the second person in my family to start playing an instrument. My older sister, who's 3 years older than me, started playing violin, and especially on my mother's side of the family, there was always a passion for classical music, and so it was natural that my mother wanted us to play musical instruments as part of our education. So my older sister was playing the violin, and they thought it would be good to put me on a different instrument so we wouldn't be in direct competition. So they chose the cello because there was a wonderful Suzuki cello teacher living in the town that we were living in, Corvallis, Oregon, at the time.
Fantastic. And who is this teacher?
Her name is Anne Graby.
Oh.
And she was my first cello teacher. I studied with her until I was 9 years old. And she was a wonderful teacher, very demanding. But that I think that was probably one of the most important things I've ever learned from a teacher is how to prepare and polish something to a high level, and to not accept anything less than the best you can give it.
Yeah, that's certainly a great lesson. I'm wondering, was there a moment in your life where you actually decided, okay, this is going to be my profession. It's not just something that I do for fun. It's something that I want to do for a living. And what was that moment for you?
I'd say I was around 12 or 13. I think it happened over the course of a few years, but I was the first really big summer camp that I went to for music was the Indiana Summer String Academy in Bloomington, Indiana at IU. And the age range was, I think, 12 to 18. And so I was on the younger side. I was 12 years old, but I was surrounded by a lot of people who were more advanced than me musically, and they were preparing for things like college auditions and competitions and stuff like that. And it was very interesting to be in that environment because I'm a naturally quite a competitive person. And so seeing these people who were playing very well made me want to play as well as they were playing. So I practiced a lot that summer. And then the next summer I went to the Heifetz International Music Institute, which was another very formative summer experience. And it was the same sort of thing. I was working with incredible teachers, people who had a lot of wisdom, and even more so the peers that I was surrounded by. They were inspiring me with their playing. Yeah, it was great.
And how about balancing your schoolwork with the cello? One thing that I'm always curious about, because as you know probably from your mom, in Bulgaria we had a special music school and then a special math school where she probably went high school. And there we were constantly surrounded. It's kind of like a pre-college, but it's the full, since first grade, we go to this kind of school, and our schedules were made so that we could practice. uh, for better or for worse, we didn't study all the subjects as seriously as people should do in high school. And I'm always curious how kids in American high school, like you, balance all this homework and all this, math and science and ELA and all the things you have to do with vigorous practicing.
Well, in my case, I was actually very lucky because starting from the 8th grade, I was doing a distance learning curriculum, which was basically like being homeschooled. I did have teachers to whom I would submit work over the internet, and I had a curriculum, that was divided into weekly lessons and so forth in each of the subjects. But the difference was that there was flexibility about when I did the work. So I could, go off for a week to do a competition or to do a performance and take that week off entirely from doing my schoolwork. And that gave me a lot of flexibility in terms of managing my musical ambitions.
Yes, and also probably taught you a lot of lessons about organizing your time and getting getting things done. Uh,
That was a challenge, yeah.
yes. How about math? Are you good in math, like your parents? Or?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I have much natural talent for math. In fact, the highest level math class I ever took was pre-calculus, trigonometry.
Yeah.
So I didn't even get to calculus, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, yeah. Somehow you survived with just the cello. I know you're also interested in chess, and that's another thing that's really popular in Bulgaria. A lot of people play chess. Even I tried my hand in playing chess. I'm probably not even half as good as you on a worse day. But do you play chess with your parents, and how did you get into chess?
Well, I started playing chess when I was 5 in my elementary school chess club. And I kind of got more into it around age of 10, 11, like that. And I played in a couple of tournaments. I haven't played in a tournament for a long time, but now I just mainly play on the internet. I play fast chess. And I'm a huge fan of watching the top events, the top competitive events. So, of course, Vasily Topalov, who was the great world champion. He's one of my favorite players, just a magnificent player. He's Bulgarian, so
Yes, yeah, he's terrific. And I know lately there has been a lot of renewed interest in chess after this Netflix show that everybody watched,
yes, exactly.
which is really fantastic. And I was even wondering if she's actually playing actual chess moves or just a movie, but there were actual chess moves. That's what I hear.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's talk a little bit about Beethoven, the trio that we played. I should tell our audience that we did this in a super speed time. You drove with your dad to New York. We had a very quick rehearsal. Then we headed over to the consulate. We did everything in pretty much one take. We had really good friends doing the video. And during COVID times, that's how we perform. How did you feel about it? I mean, do you do a lot of these now video recordings instead of live performance? And how does that feel compared to actually playing for an audience?
Yeah, I've done a few of these collaborations. I'm actually working on one right now with a friend of mine. We're doing sort of a cello ensemble Christmas song arrangement. And it's fun. There are many different ways of going about it. For example, I did the Rachmaninoff's cello sonata, a couple of movements of the Rachmaninoff cello sonata with Maxime Landau, a wonderful friend of mine. Great
Fantastic, pianist. Yeah.
And we did it in a pretty simple way. We discussed some issues of interpretation, tossed around a few ideas, and then he just recorded his part, and then I had the headphones in, and I was playing along with him. So basically, I had to rehearse with his recording, 10, 20 times to really get into what he was doing. And then when I played with him at the end, the final product sounds rather close to what an actual collaboration would be. So it's quite amazing how the technology is allowing us to do these long distance collaborations. But I think I go ahead.
For that piece, actually, the piano part is so central to the way it moves and to the rubatos and things. So I would imagine that having him record first works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted him to record first. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy actually that we were able to play in person for the Beethoven, because there is so much more exchange between the three parts. So thank you for that, for making the effort. And of course, we're wearing masks and we're being super carefully and careful. And the consulate was all sanitized. And until we get that vaccine, this is how we've been performing. I was very curious actually to read a little bit about the trio, and our audience will be curious to know that it was dedicated, the Archduke, it's called the Archduke, is because it's dedicated to Archduke Rudolf of Vienna, who was a great patron of the arts. He loved Beethoven. He studied with Beethoven composition. He was an amateur pianist, and Beethoven dedicated quite a few of his works to him. And I found out that this was actually the last piece that Beethoven tried to play live. And after that, he stopped playing because he was deaf. And there are, mixed accounts of the performance. They say that, when the loud was really loud and then the soft was really soft, and which actually gives me a little bit of a view of his vision, because there's so many extreme dynamics and moments of pianissimos that last forever and ever. And just from those accounts of hearing him play, obviously that he really wanted those extremities to come into being, despite his not being able to hear. And how does the cello part feel? I mean, this is quite late in the middle period. And how does it feel, that part, compared to like the early trios where the cello is not probably used as much as here?
Yeah, I mean, it's, as you said, it's a very late work of the middle period. I mean, some people, I might even consider it like one of the last works of the middle period. And I think it really shares a lot in common, the cello writing at least, with, for example, the Opus 69 Sonata for cello and piano. It has this kind of majestic quality, these heroic legato lines, and he was really tapping into the lyricism of the cello in a way that he doesn't quite do as much in the earlier trios. Although he was certainly going in that direction already with the Opus 70s, the Ghost Trio, and Opus 70 #2. So it's definitely a wonderful cello part.
Yes, it's definitely fun to play and to hear, especially when you do these gorgeous melodies. And yeah, I mean, I love Beethoven, and I'm so thrilled that we're celebrating his 250th anniversary. And this is one way that I want to remember this year, with this big Beethoven year. And of course, for the piano, he was extraordinarily important for the instrument of the piano, because he started on a much smaller piano. He started on what Mozart and Haydn had, and then over the years he was such a big personality, so demanded, that he was able to influence the development of the instrument and say, I need bigger pedal, I need more octaves, I need more sound. And the piano makers were obliging, and they were more than happy to make the instrument that Beethoven wanted, because that meant business for them. And the families in Vienna and in Europe would then buy the latest piano that Beethoven can imagine all the time. So in a way, he brought it to what we have today in terms of capability and sound and legato. So that's always a great thing to remember Beethoven. All right, well, thank you so much for being here, Zlatomir. We hope to see you in Bulgaria as well. One of my favorite recordings, which we are going to share with our audience, is when you visited Bulgaria with your family. Can you tell us where you played Bach?
Yeah, so I was borrowing a cello, and it was in a very heavy case, and we were walking all the way up this path to the top of the mountain in Perikon, And we got to the top. I pulled out the cello, we pulled out the phone, and I played a little bit of Bach on the top with the mountainside in the background. It was very nice.
Yeah, that's a first. I mean, I love to do music in unusual places. So who knows? Maybe after the pandemic, we can start a music festival there as well. It's such a magical place, Bulgaria, and that Peripericom as well. All right. Well, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for stopping here on Zoom and chatting for our audience. Once again, a reminder, tune in right here on YouTube or on Facebook on December 15th at 7 o'clock to hear Georgi Volchev violins, Zlatomir Fung cello, and myself on piano. We will be celebrating the season with a gorgeous piano trio. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.